uppercut, uppercut, sonic boom! Well, hello there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. Welcome back to the channel. I am Bushka, and today's video is all about the SLR versus the SKS. Is the SLR obsolete? Should you be using the SLR? And I think that's really, really important because there's been so many buffs in PUBG Mobile over the last, well, 5 years. So it's like, you know, things are gonna change. And if you don't stay right on top of it, it can be really easy to miss those buffs or those changes or those updates. It's why you'll sometimes still see people jump punching around to be silent when they push, despite the fact that it's 6 months now since jump punching was removed from the game because it was a bug. So the SLR and the SKS are obvious contenders because they are so similar. The SKS is the original PUBG Mobile 762 DMR world drop. The SLR was not in the game when the game was initially released. That was, let me go and find, I think PUBG Mobile, I remember finding a tweet. Yeah, so I'm back with a tweet introducing the all-new SLR DMR. That's from 2018, in fact, which is quite a long time ago. 2018, the July the 19th, and they introduced the SLR, they introduced the half grip, the light grip, the thumb grip, and the 6X and the 3X, which is pretty freaking crazy to think that they were all introduced and that for a while we had a game where there was no 6 or 3. Kind of cool. There is a lot to say about the SLR that makes it work. It has 937 meters a second bullet speed, which is good. Okay, that is a good bullet speed. It's the same bullet speed as an M16. It's more than an M416's bullet speed. It also has 57.9 damage, which is a lot of damages. It's in fact the highest damage on a world drop AMR, DMR. The Mark 14 has a wonderful 60 base damage, which is obviously the best, but it's a crate weapon. Although, let's be honest, it's so easy to get crates nowadays. There's guaranteed flare drops in games. There's room cards. By crates, I mean crate weapons. There's just a lot more options out there. You can buy flare drops in game. It's a lot more options to picking up crate level weapons. So you see Mark 14s on the battlefield nearly every game if you're running around with a squad that lives to the final 10 or 15. And that means that the place that the SLR had, which was kind of special, where it was a high damage, has been severely eroded because the SKS, for all that it has higher recoil than a Mini 14, it still has the same damage as an SLR, the same bullet speed as an SLR, less vertical recoil compared to the SLR, and a lot more friendly, player-friendly gun handling because you can mount a attachment. You can mount a lower rail attachment on it. And the lower rail attachment you should be mounting is like a light grip or a vertical foregrip. But to be honest with that, let's call a spade here. The SKS, its recoil has been like buffed rather, a bunch of times. And the SLR has been buffed a bunch of times. And you can see in this little passage of play here, I'm not having any problems using the SLR. It's very, very easy to use. And that's with a cheek pad and a sniper suppressor, which does absolutely nothing for recoil.
Watch out.
What you can't do with an SLR is step on it. And stepping on it is what it's all about these days with the Mini and the SKS. You've got to use the SLR very much like a bolt-action rifle. The first shots, you really want to be hitting headshots. And the SLR, if you're not hitting your headshots, is a very, very desultory performer because you can't fire it as fast as you can the SKS. The SKS, you can really unleash it. You can make it do all kinds of nasty things. But the SLR although its recoil is absolutely controllable nowadays, just doesn't have the same kind of feel to it. There was a time where people would just run around in TDMs with SLRs because what they were really good at was being trigger spammed so that you could fire for 60. Oh, I forgot about this. Is this great grenade clip. Is that, I'm not sure if I've included it, but this was a great grenade clip. I have. No, I haven't. Oh, well, never mind. Is the SLR obsolete? Yes, it's obsolete. Look at it this way. What does it do that can't be done better by something else in-game that is readily available? Well, that is a great grenade. It can't, look, watch this SKS clip. Okay, this is using the SKS like a bolt-action rifle. I've hit that guy in the head once, and I've only got a 2, and he's got a bolty, right? That hits the windowsill. There's a hit. And I'm just snapping back in. I'm just using it like a bolt-action rifle. Snapping little headshots out, quick peeks, exactly like I do with the SLR. And I'm using a laser sight on the SKS because it's a hot drop. And you can see the gun handling is just fine, despite the fact that it's obviously a 7.62 DMR. And the thing that's really changed it is the damage. I mean, that's a quick snap. Just little quick snaps. The thing that's really changed it is the bullet speed. I mean, we're baiting shots out of this. Get him eventually. The thing that's really changed it is the bullet speed, because in that engagement previously, the SKS would have been running about, I don't know, 800 meters a second, I think was its best bullet speed before. Might even have been 780. And the SLR had the 800 meters a second bullet speed. Well, they're both now the same bullet speed as an M16. That's fast. That's ridiculously fast. And the base damage numbers on them are both now way beyond what an M16 brings to the table. You're looking at guns that can tap out real quick. And they're good guns on switches too. Don't get me wrong. These guns on switches are excellent. It's one of the things that binds them together. You can use them on a switch and they'll actually be really, really good. They can save your life a lot of times because they are TDM machines. Like an SLR on a switch is great, and an SKS on a switch is just as good. And then you get these guns and they're legitimately competing against Mini 14s and Mark 14s. The 14s at the moment really hold the winning margin of victory in their hands. The Mini 14 is so stupid right now. I mean, it is just absolutely stupid because they've buffed it and buffed it and buffed it again to the point where now it's just crazy the amount of damage it has and it can output. The Mark 14, it's not as easy to use as the Mini 14, but it's got so much else going for it. I mean, it's full auto rate of fire. It's crazy damage output in full auto with its 0.18 time to kill. It's excellent bullet speed. It's 60 base damage round. Those are all things that combine to make the Mark 14 spectacular. None of these things is an SLR. The SLR, if I had to pick out of all those weapons that we've just talked about there, is at the bottom of the pile. The SKS is slightly below the Mini, and the Mini is slightly below the Mark. But they all have something that they do really, really well. The SKS has the best recoil of anything that's like a headshot machine. The Mini 14, you're able to just spam it so hard without losing any kind of recoil control. The Mark 14, you can do all the kind of long-range headshot stuff, and you can also do full auto switches, meaning it's just incredibly versatile. The SLR doesn't have a lead in any of those categories, okay? And particularly with its inability to use, say, a thumb grip. I've actually used a lot of thumb grips on the SKS lately. And the reason for that is the recoil is in such a good space now that if you use a thumb grip, you get a bonus to opening the scope quickly. And when you're doing those quick peeks, it becomes very, very nasty. If you can get a thumb grip on it, you get faster scope openings. You can hear there is actually a guy in here with me. And he's finally going to come out and have a push. He was the guy I pushed up to kill first. I just took the knock on the other dude because it was there and it was available. And then I was like, come out here and oh yeah, there's another guy there. Righto, we'll do that. Gotta love it. So is the SLR obsolete? Yes. Will I run it? Not intentionally. It's one of my last choices to run as a secondary weapon. Will it still work? It'll still work. But hey, so does lots of other guns. Scarrel's not as good as the M416 in my opinion, but the M416 still works. I'm Bushka. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to like the videos and subscribe. I'm really trying to grow the channel this year. I don't know why that guy's standing on top of a UAZ, but good on him. And there's daily content and the grind is on. And I'd like you guys to come along and join me while I do it. Anyway, look after yourself. Stay safe in the battlefield. Thank you so much for the support. And as always, bye for now.